right, you guys, this is the most fun part of the day. It's the, we do a seasonal announcement, so once a quarter, we have a webinar where we talk about new features, new products, stuff like that from Bitwave. We did not do our Q2 new product announcement, so we could do it all here at EDAS. So I am so incredibly excited to demo a bunch of stuff for you today that we've been working on for, I don't know, some things here we've been working on for 9 months, some things here we've been working on for a month or two. It is really, really great. Couple of stats about Bitwave. I thought this is just kind of fun. We pulled some things together. We have 1.2 million NFTs tracked. So we have, if you look in our actual coin database, we have like billions of NFTs. Like that's how we track it at the high level. We have customers that own NFTs with value, 1.2 million of these NFTs. That's how many NFTs our customers own. We absolutely love it. I don't know, maybe there's probably 1.2 million NFTs owned just by the Bitwave employees, but I'm not sure we quite broke that out on the stats here. Everything up and down the world. This is amazing. We pulled this number. I think it's a little bit low, but right now we are tracking $100 billion of value from across our portfolio of various clients. This is a testament to the size of the clients we're working with, the folks that we are looking at, and honestly just the crypto industry writ large. That there is so much money being tracked on Bitwave. It makes me so incredibly happy at a very baseline here. So let's get into what's new here. We always base our releases on these kinds of themes. So this year we had this period we had three big themes. First and foremost, faster and better. We call this Project Need for Speed. We're going to be talking a lot about this, but it's been a major effort here at Bitwave to speed up the product and speed up your experience as a user using the product. So we have some really fun stuff to show on this. Good fruit has come from this tree. Enterprise readiness is always the middle line item because at the end of the day, we work with large enterprises and we always need to make sure that we are staying on the cutting edge of enterprise. So we have some extremely exciting features to show around enterprise. And then finally, this year, we at Bitwave tend to think, we have this saying, and whenever I do a pitch or whenever I don't get to do sales pitches anymore, but neither here nor there. I tend to talk about how the day that you as a business decide to bring digital assets onto your balance sheet, you as a operations person are not making a single decision. You have just made this decision for like 15 different people in your organization, whether you realize it or not. You've made a decision for the controllers, the tax folks, the accountants, the CFO, the treasury group, all of that. So when we think about Bitwave, we do tend to think about where does our product fit in with these various teams? Like how do we fit in with the controller? How do we fit in with the CFO? How do we fit in with the treasurer? We're going to be announcing some really cool products that are specifically focused for treasury with kind of a slant towards risk and discovery today, and I'm extremely excited to get into it. So without further ado, let's start on the faster and better part with Project Need for Speed. So in addition to the features we're going to be showing off around this, there's been something like 300 plus quality and integration. So quality in terms of the product itself, as well as integrations, like the code that runs our syncers to Ethereum and all these things. We have been incredibly hard at work to make sure that we are the highest quality product that is out there. And honestly, it's one of those things that we've gone through this maturation. I can say it as a startup founder. We are at this point we're sneaking up towards about 6 years old. And you do go through this phase of a startup where at one point, you're box, which is, move fast and break things. But as a financial services company and as an accounting product, you actually can't really do that. We've kind of started to grow out of that phase where we're moving fast and breaking things because at the end of the day, when we break things, that impacts financial statements, all this kind of stuff. So we actually have really drastically moved out of that world and taken quality as just such a core part of our business, which is quality and performance, quality and accuracy around financial reporting, all that kind of stuff. So this has been one of our major themes over the last 6 months has been how good of quality of data can we provide to it. We also have some great dashboards, but we'll get into that. One of the things that I wanted to show off here, this is from March and April. There was a point where we were getting a lot of complaints about the speed of our product. We have done a tremendous amount of work. Now, there's reasons that our product tends to be a little bit slow. It has to do with the way we have this really powerful pricing engine. So we have this pricing engine that lets you do any level of rules that you want down to, we just added wallet level pricing. So you can say, for this one wallet, for this one asset, always price it from this particular source. What that means is we were doing a lot of work up front. Like when you load up your page, we're doing a lot of extra work. So what we did is we ran through, we changed how we were doing all that. We moved our pricing to be more of an asynchronous model, and we got they call it P90, which is 90% of the requests that hit your service. We got that down from 18 seconds down to 3 seconds. This is a 6x improvement. Everyone should be feeling this across the board if you use Bitwave. It should feel faster, snappier, and I promise we're not done. I think we're going to get this down to the 1.5 to 2 second range here over the next few months. So bear with us as we make the product faster, but we have heard you from people that said that there was some speed issues, and we took it to heart. All right, let's get into some of the fun features here. First and foremost, we have had the jankiest dashboard that I built in like a hot minute afternoon 4 years ago as our main dashboard for Bitwave, and we are finally growing up from it. Now, with all things Bitwave, we do tend to think deeply about why we do things. Like, the dashboard hadn't gotten a facelift in so long because at the end of the day, the dashboard is not always the most useful thing. Like, if you are going in, categorizing transactions, things like that, the dashboard is not what you're necessarily living in. So when we set out to redo our dashboard, we actually started to think about it in 2 different ways. We started to think about, like, what are the different users of our dashboards? In this case, we broke that down between accountants, bookkeepers, people who are doing the day-to-day work, and then treasury. So we'll actually be showing a treasury dashboard later. On the accounting side, we want it to be really workflow driven. Like, we didn't want this to be just my portfolio value. We didn't want it to be all that stuff. We're saying, hey, you're going to close your books. What's your flow of funds look like? Is it in line? Can I do a sanity check on it? How much work do I have left to do? That's what this is here. This is showing my uncategorized and categorized left on different periods with the ability to click in, scroll in, all that kind of stuff. I want to be able to check my actual asset distribution, my expenses, all that kind of stuff. So as with all things, we bring a level of contemplation, that is sort of how I like to say it, to this problem. And this is the new the new accounting dashboard. Oh, we also got this request to have a place to share announcements, because as we do push stuff quickly, as we do move quickly, sometimes people don't notice it, or sometimes it's taking people by surprise. So part of this is adding a nice little announcement section at the top. It's a weird little feature, but honestly, I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to make our communication with our users quite a bit better. Okay. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. So everybody who uses Bitwave has seen the new transaction UI. We rolled it out last month. And it's one of those things where it's like, this was not change for change's sake. It's sort of a funny way to say it, that like people love the old UI for this. Like the moment that we moved over to this, everyone was kind of like, you could just go back. I really like the old one. There was actually a lot of reasons that we wanted to move to a new UI structure here, and I'm going to go through it here. So first and foremost, a major component of moving to this new UI structure was to give the ability to do more fine-grained manipulation within this particular UI. So if you get back to this idea of the need for speed, one of the ways that we address speed is, hey, can we make the overall experience faster? Can we get the P90 down? The other way is saying, like, hey, you are doing a lot of repetitive tasks. If you are accounting, CFO, whatever it is you're doing within our UI here, you're probably doing a lot of repetitive tasks. Can we start to actually make your life a little bit better? Can we start to drive that repetitive task count down? So we've built inline categorization. That's what we're calling this, where actually everything that you would traditionally do inside of the major dropdown, the big Bitwave dropdown for categorizing, you actually can do right here now. So here we have a bunch of different transactions that are coming in on Matic, all coming from the same address. This is now clickable and has deep connectivity to your actual vendors coming out of your ERP. So I can come in here, click on your vendors, customers, contacts out of your ERP. Click on a contact, hit done. That just did that actually did the categorization, and because this contact has a default category for revenue assigned to them, it actually fully categorized everything across the entire board here. So this is now done. I can click confirm here. This is fully categorized. We are 100% done. Oh, by the way, did you guys notice the fair market value in that actual UI right there? That's actually super exciting. So that's first and foremost, is the ability to just do your categorization work here with 1 or 2 clicks. But it gets a little bit better. So let's say I actually want to take this and assign this particular address to a client. What we're going to do is we're going to take it and automatically apply that across the entire system. So this is what we're calling smart rules. So the idea of applying small categories, default revenue categories, default expense categories, as well as adding deep address mapping to all the different contacts allows us to have this really great ability to categorize at a glance across it. And let's say that I then want to actually change one of these guys here, and I'm going to say, hey, I actually think that this is better under misc revenue for this particular contact. I can make that change here, come in here, actually assign this to this particular contact, hit done, and it will go through and update all the rest of these. So it's sort of a dynamic view as you're doing your work, as your world is changing, as you're having to make changes, all that kind of stuff is happening. The last thing that I'll point out on this page, which is really, really cool, if you haven't seen it already, you might not have just clicked this button, we now do have full bulk categorization on this page. So you can come in here, click bulk categorization, apply fees, apply revenue, apply context. This is gonna run this across the entire set of transactions there that are not done. And when you're done there, you basically are doing single click categorization for up to 250 transactions at a time. So this is all on top of the rules engine we already had that you know and love. It's on top of everything else you're doing. It's a way of basically speeding up your day-to-day workflows as much as we possibly can. Next, we made some major changes to our import process based on a lot of feedback from our users. So this has been a really interesting journey that we've gone on over the last few years here, because we built our import tool, I don't know, it was probably the second major feature that I built around Bitwave, because everyone needs to import something at some point. What we didn't have back in the day that we are actually getting to announce today that's really exciting is the notion of file types. So there's kind of the simple one here, which is thinking about all the other file types you might have here. So Binance OTC trades, FTX trades if you had that historically, NYDIG, Deribit, whatever it is. So there's sort of this notion of actually importing pre-built templates for all of the major downloads from the different exchanges that we don't actually support. That's one component here. But another really exciting component of this is that you actually can make your own schemas. And you can actually map those schemas to our Bitwave schemas. So one of the things you see here are we have the Bitwave standard wallet file type, transactions, and client data. So if you want to import wallets, we actually have a full import flow for importing wallets in bulk at this point. We have a full import flow for importing transactions. If you have a particular file format, you can actually build both the schema for that file format as well as the mapper into our transaction format and bring that all in with one fell swoop. The other piece of this that's pretty exciting, and we're going to be talking about this a lot more. You are going to get to know and love our data, the data section of the Bitwave web app here. So I can come in here and I can select a particular import here. We finally have gotten to the next level of actually getting a little bit more mature in terms of previewing your imports right inside of the UI. So when I click next here, we are actually able now to preview the entire import right here. This stays as part of the import. So once this import gets brought in, this is actually with it forever. You will always be able to come back, even years later, when you have forgotten about this happy import you did, to view what exactly you did, what the file was like, all of that. This is now a persistent part of Bitwave. Full imports are saved, all this kind of stuff in one single place. We are really excited about it, and we think, again, this is just going to make your life better because it makes it easier to bring stuff in. You can now bring in wallets instead of importing, punching them in manually, all that great stuff. The last thing that we are going to show off here, and I am so excited about this, we were going to save it for like a one more thing at the very, very end, but it has been in the works for about 9 months as we have looked at actually changing our backend database to better support the complex requirements that our users have. We now, as of when this goes live in the next few weeks here, have the ability to do filtering directly on the transaction UI. And this is one of the reasons we moved to this more Excel-like view of our transactions, was to make it easier for you to make it a little bit easier for us to build these kind of really cool features on top of it. So I can come in here and I can select, okay, let's only take receive and sends. That's going to filter it down. Let's do an actual sort on that. So show me all the sends first, followed by the receives. I can actually then go and do amount filtering. So I want to see only ones that are worth 40. This is going to get blown out with ranges and all that kind of stuff you've come to expect. And then even the ability, which I know everyone has wanted to see forever, to do something like say, hey, have you ever wanted to view your Bitwave transactions sorted in in descending chronological or in ascending chronological order as opposed to descending. So it's the small stuff like this, but we have finally built out the entire way to do filtering and sorting on basically every single field that you see in the transactions view here. It's really, really exciting. It's been a very large amount of work to get it going. I see, yeah, there we go. I knew that'd get you. Seriously, months and months of work on that one. So this is going to be fun. And we think that this is like this, these things all sort of interconnect, which is the ability to now say, okay, only show me my receives, and then I'm going to now go through and do inline categorization on just these, or bulk cat. The goal here is let's get your workload down. Let's get the amount of time you're spending doing this stuff all down here. All right, let's get into the enterprise readiness section. So hopefully everyone saw the finale of Picard, and this isn't a total spoiler, but the enterprise readiness continues to be a major part for us, which is we're talking about 4 big things today. So first of all, hard close. This is always a fun topic. We've been working on this for a while. There will be more stuff to come later, but we have the first version. Hopefully people have gotten to use it at this point, but we'll see. Audit log, and we have a really cool new financial reporting package to actually show here. So first and foremost, let's get into the hard close. So if you haven't seen this before, this is under the period end close here. You come in here, you can actually, it's a little bit like the QuickBooks style. So we haven't quite got to the NetSuite style where you have periods and stuff like that. But this does allow you to set a particular date that you want to close up. So let's set 01/20/2022, hit save. This is locking all of my transactions from before this particular date. So we have now locked this entire set of data before this particular date. Nothing will change. So even if we go and we make bug fixes to our syncers, we add stuff, we create new things, whatever it is, you are never going to see the data in those periods lock. There's a lot of different ways you can unlock particular periods, particular transactions. All that's kind of going to be is sort of coming down the pike to make your life better. But this is one of the assurance pieces that we wanted to make sure was part of all of this. In addition, you saw the audit log there, but we've now added audit log support for most of the other things that you can do in Bitwave. Categorizing transactions, transactions getting created, creating wallets, adding users to wallets, all the RBAC stuff. There now is a real audit log sitting inside of Bitwave with full historical information about it. If you ever are curious about what happened with a particular transaction, you'll be able to come to the audit log and actually get that information. So we're really excited about this. This has also been a really big chunk of work to make sure that every different place where you can modify the database gets updated to actually handle this piece of it. The next thing I'm going to show off is a new financial reporting package. And this has been a darling of the solutions team. So one of the things that we've done on our side is we've made it easier for you to actually get data out of the Bitwave data warehouse. And when I say you, that means you as a company. So if you are interested, you always have access to your data warehouse to get access to it. But that means that our solutions team has been actually able to do more interesting stuff. So they've been able to go and work with different reporting tools to build reports on top of it. So this is the first package that we're releasing that actually has a whole bunch of different reports built on top of this. There's almost, you can think of this as like a trial balance plus in some ways, grouped by journal entry, grouped by asset liability. You can go in and actually view your revenue and expense activity, come in, see your summarized journal entries, even some really fun stuff like asset token balance changes over time. The idea here is to build a package that you can basically take, run for a particular period, print out, and have a really, really solid locked-in financial reporting package. And all of this is actually customizable. So if you come in and you need to have a report that we don't have in here, it's incredibly easy for us to add it. If there's a page of this report that you don't like, it's incredibly easy for us to remove it for you. There's a whole infrastructure has gone in to building the building blocks to have really robust reporting like this. And finally, this is a smaller change, but it is very, very exciting. We've added we'll show this a little bit later, but we've added subsidiaries to Bitwave. So as you are now growing from a single organization to an organization with various subsidiaries, we do now have a notion of subsidiaries, the notion of being able to do inventory views, reporting on a subsidiary by subsidiary basis. That is the most coarse-grained way that you can assign a user access to Bitwave and to a set of wallets is at the subsidiary level. So you can put a wallet attached to a subsidiary, you can assign a user to a subsidiary, that user then has access to all the wallets of the subsidiary, but none of the wallets outside that subsidiary. The next thing that we did, which is actually one level deeper to that, is going and doing direct wallet access on the RBAC level. So you can actually, at this point now, assign individual users directly to individual wallets. So if you have a user, if you have a CTO that you don't really want to give access to all of Bitwave, but you want to let him code his wallet because he does some wacky stuff in there, you can now do that. You can set up Ore. We can actually give him access to exactly one wallet, the ARAP wallet, hit save. He's now locked in. When he logs in, he will literally only see transactions from that particular wallet. This is all driving the state-of-the-art forward on this. The next step of this is going to be transaction-level RBAC. We'll get that'll be next EDAS. So the last thing here that I want to talk about is how we are thinking about addressing treasury and that part of the world within all of this. In this case, first and foremost, we have a treasury dashboard. So I'm really excited about this. Then we're going to show off some DeFi V2. This is foundationally groundbreaking stuff that we've been working on for about a year at this point. Like, we were the first people to ever have DeFi in an accounting product like this. We did it 4 years ago. Boy, howdy, has the world changed in 4 years. Let me tell you something. So we've been kind of working on, like, what does the new version of this look like? How has the world changed? And then finally, we have this really cool wallet management product that I'm excited to talk about. So first and foremost, the treasury dashboard, it's similar to the accounting dashboard. It's not designed to be anything different. But instead of focusing on workflow, instead of focusing on like what are my tasks and how much do I have to do, it's focused on my portfolio and risk. It's focused on like what are the actual assets that I have exposure to? What are the various DeFi protocols I have exposure to? What are the various networks I have exposure to? What are the various exchanges and custodians I have exposure to? And actually, if you go through and use the wallet management tool, you can even start to get visibility into what are the different counterparty risks I have with my own employees. How much digital asset, how much Bitcoin does Bob over in sales have access to? If he gets fired, how on the hook are we for that kind of thing? So it's the idea of moving away from this sort of workflow to more of a regulatory risk, or sort of a treasury risk assessment view of everything here, including something like this is even looking at your DeFi assets and liabilities. So we're incredibly excited about this. This will be rolling out again over the next few weeks that we'll actually give access to this, and we'll continue to expand on this notion of what are the risk motivators that we want to actually expose for a treasurer and organization. Next, this is our DeFi V2. It might look a little bit complicated, but bear with me while I walk you through it. We have changed how we do DeFi. So if you've used Bitwave for DeFi in the past, you had this notion where you would see a transaction, you do a coding of that transaction as a DeFi transaction. It essentially created this kind of balance sheet adjustment that you can sort of think of behind the scenes, but the transaction didn't really show up anywhere. Well, we've actually changed how we do that now, where we have now added DeFi vaults as a first-class citizen of a wallet into Bitwave. So using the DeFi dashboard here, what you do is you come into one of your wallets. So my Vault wallet, whatever it is, you hit this check button. It scans through all of your transactions. It sees all of the various pools that you actually interact with, all in one place here. It then allows you to actually add a DeFi wallet to Bitwave, where we're going to create a discrete wallet in Bitwave, which is, think of it as an account, where we're going to have transactions sitting. We're going to pick up deposits and withdrawals, but we can actually go the next level and pick up transactions that are discretized however you want to represent the underlying asset that you're in. So here we have Uniswap. I can click on this. I can show both, we have some really cool data in here if you're a DeFi data nerd. So we even have things like liquidity analysis. We've gone to a level where we have very, very fine-grained recognition of fees versus actual and permanent loss within your DeFi positions. If that makes sense to you, that's amazing. If it doesn't, it's okay. It's a tricky part of it. But like when you're sitting in a DeFi position, you're accruing fees, and your position in the actual DeFi protocol is changing. This represents that, which is that this is the WETH revenue you've gotten from fees. This is the GTC revenue you've got from fees. And then this is your principal as it adjusts on the market. This shows your position on the liquidity curve. Really, really cool stuff, very easy. And we're going to actually pick it up in a manner that makes it very easy to work with from an accounting perspective. Because again, DeFi like this, it's not something that's particularly interesting in the abstract on a dashboard. It's fun to see. Everyone wants to see how much DeFi they have in the abstract. But for everyone in this room, they need to actually account for it. So I'm going to come in here to one of our wallets that we've set up, which is the CUSDC ETH DeFi position. So someone went in, opened up a compound vault, and supplied it with USDC, and is now earning interest. What you're seeing here are discrete interest that's being recognized on a week-over-week basis and put into Bitwave for actual revenue recognition at that point. So you can take it right from here. You can book it into into a receivable account like Mackenzie was talking about earlier today. You can just do a straight revenue recognition on it. But this is the actual revenue that you are receiving off of the blockchain into that wallet in USDC. The really cool part about this is this ends up being separate from the other parts of it. So then using different ways within Bitwave, you actually can separate this out. If you don't want to recognize it as revenue, you can segregate it out. If you don't want to recognize this as gain, add to your coin inventory, you can do that through inventory views. So this is the biggest single change we've ever made to DeFi, is the idea of actually having DeFi as an individual wallet that then accrues in a way that however you want to configure it. If you're interested in any of this, grab your solutions person. This is all live right now, so anyone can go and start playing around with this if you have that flipped on in your organization. Very, very last thing that I'm going to show off is that we're announcing today a new product that is pretty exciting. I would be remiss if I did not say that I have heard from every single person that works with and around Bitwave that one of the hardest parts of our job here is pulling together all of the wallets that our customers use on a day-to-day basis. And that goes from everything from the biggest Fortune 500 companies we work with down to the great CFO, CPA outsourced partners. There's that Bernie Sanders meme, like, I am asking you once again to give me all your DeFi wallets. This is how we're starting to address that. We've built this notion of wallet collection groups through a wallet manager. The idea is that you can actually create a wallet collection group, give it a name. So let's call this my, EDAS collection. And I can start inviting people to it. Everyone who gets invited to this is going to get an email that actually asks them to put their wallet address into this. So there's a discrete page that they get to go to actually add wallet information directly. So instead of all of the burden falling on the treasurer or the CPA or whoever it is, we're actually flipping that notion to actually say, okay, let's put one single place where you're going to create all the different groups. You can set up whatever structure you want, and we're going to send out emails to everybody in the entire organization that actually might have a wallet to put it in. This is going to scale into APIs for exchanges, everything else you can possibly imagine will all come through here. Before it gets added to Bitwave, it goes onto a review page. So there's a review page where you can look at it, you can make sure it makes sense, you can look at the activity. This is part of the scoping that we want to do with our partners. See what activity is happening, and then actually approve to add it to Bitwave to start syncing. This is like a we are incredibly excited about this product because it addresses this incredibly real need that we know all of our customers have had, which is to get frickin' wallets from their contacts. Whew. All right. There's just a few more things I'll show. We talked about subsidiaries. This is pretty fun. If you haven't seen it, there's a spam filter that has been hidden inside of Bitwave for like 6 months now. It's one of those things, like, we're really funny here at Bitwave because we build this incredible stuff and then we use it with the clients that ask for it, but we forget to kind of publicize it. So if you go to the administration under it's under administration on the accounts that have it flipped on, there's actually a spam filter where you can do very, very, very fine-grained spam filtering based on whitelisting tokens, blacklisting tokens, blacklisting NFTs, whitelisting NFT collections. Almost anything you can imagine for either adding or removing tokens, you can do through the token filter there. If you're getting into this, we actually have a couple of new tax treatments that are really, really, really cool. So the first is the wallet level inventories. So if you have any reason that you need to track your assets on a discrete wallet by wallet basis, which some of our clients do want, Rob and I had a great discussion about that earlier. We now fully support that. That also includes the ability to group wallets in different ways. So you can actually have 5 wallets in this inventory group, 5 wallets in this inventory group, and then those are separate inventories that are getting relieved off of it. That's all live. This is out there today. It requires a feature flag on our side, but if it's something that you need, let us know from that side. The other piece is we just launched Net Zero, which is a new spec ID treatment. So the idea with Net Zero is it basically picks offsetting transactions to keep your gain loss as close to zero as possible. So we already had the spec ID methodology we have for doing HIFO and things like that. This is a new spec ID methodology that you can get flipped on to do as close to net zero as possible. Talk to your tax advisor if you're interested. Last thing here, we've launched a bunch of new blockchains: Hedera, Ripple, Near, Aptos, Hedera, Ripple. What's the middle X? Immutable and Immutables. change there. And immutable. All of these have launched over the last couple of months here. So Hedera is amazing because it has both really great, it's a great enterprise blockchain, really, really good rollups. Near's being used by a ton of our gaming clients, really, really exciting. Finally, I'm going to launch, we just announced a partnership with Circle. We had Joao on stage today. He's amazing. Really, really great company. We are excited to be working with them and helping them build out their enterprise practice as they get into this. And then finally, this is the last slide, then we all go and start drinking. We just finished our SOC 1 and SOC 2 Type 2 final for this. Second year doing it. Amy, take a bow, because Amy literally had EDAS this week, the multi-sig acquisition, and our SOC reports all hit yesterday. And Amy, that is Amy's part of the business over here. So Amy hasn't been sleeping all that much, but we've got these, and we're, don't quote me on this, but we're tentatively trying to move to an annual cadence for our SOC reports. So this one is covering through March 23rd. We're releasing it obviously today. It's all ready to go if you need it, but it's kind of like, it kind of sucks because everyone wanted it a little bit earlier. So we're going to try, assuming it all goes well, to do more of a calendar year SOCs. So as of January 1st, we'll have SOC reports for you guys. No promises on that, but we're going to be trying to do that. Shut it down.